what I'm going to present to you today is how we see Bitcoin. And what are the things that we say about Bitcoin is Bitcoin was made for us. You guys talk about it from a speculative perspective. You talk about it going coin go up, coin go down. For us, Bitcoin is hope. Bitcoin means life or death. Where we come from, when things don't work, people die. When payments don't work, people die. So Bitcoin for us is something that's come along that's finally solved the age-old problem that we've had in Africa. You know, colonialism. Things have extracted things out of our continent consistently, and finally we have something that is not extractive. Finally we have something that we are in control of. Finally we have something that can make us sovereign. And that's very, very exciting. So let's climb into this. I love this because this is a depiction of what is happening with Bitcoin in Africa. All of you, I keep hearing, when are we going to see Bitcoin as a medium of payment? When are we going to see Bitcoin as a unit of account? Let me tell you something. Come to South Africa, come to Africa, and you'll notice that people are utilizing Bitcoin today to pay for things. Young people are talking in Satoshis. They don't talk in Bitcoin. We keep saying Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. When you come to Africa, people speak in Satoshis. People accept Satoshis for payments. We are in the world, until Jack Dorsey just did what he did a couple of days ago, South Africa has more merchants that accept Bitcoin than anywhere else in the entire world. We have more people utilizing Bitcoin as a medium of exchange on the African continent versus anywhere else in the entire world. Why is this? When you guys talk about debasement, you talk about debasement in like, it debases 3% every year, etc., etc. We talk about it debasing 3% every day. That's the world that we live in. Right? So if you will live in a world like that, and a thing like Bitcoin comes along, it's a lifesaver, it's a life raft. You grab onto it. And you don't care whether it's going down 20, 30%, 10%. Those fluctuations are incomparable to the world from which we come from. Okay, so we love Bitcoin. Bitcoin is made for us. So let's climb into it. So a lot of you have been lied to. So the map that you look at in the world, Africa is depicted correctly, but every other continent is not. Okay, so if you take a look at the map, that's what I set up there, Mercator's maps. That's a lie. Okay, you could take the United States, you can take India, you can take China, you can take Europe, you can take Greece, you can take Eastern Europe, and you can still have space if you shove them all into Africa. That's how big Africa is. Right? We've got 1.5 billion people. We're the fastest growing human population on planet Earth, on aggregate. More than 60% of our population is under the age of 20. We're the youngest in the entire world. Why do you think people adopt Bitcoin so rapidly? Here's the stats. We cover more than 20% of the Earth's surface, right? 54 countries. I put there at the bottom, we won the Sevens rugby, and we've won more rugby World Cups than any other country in the entire world. Okay, just as an FYI. And I just said, I'm sorry, France, for what happened the other day. Again, we hold a key thing, David Sachs, Elon Musk. They're from South Africa. So sorry, not sorry. Yeah. So Africa is underestimated. And I think what's very exciting for us, Africa Bitcoin Corporation is not a South African play, it's Africa. So it's a Pan-African play. We're listing on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, and we're addressing the Bitcoin opportunity Pan-African. Okay, we do listing in every other African country when we're creating rails and railway stations to have all that fixed income across all those 54 countries exposed to Bitcoin, which is very, very exciting for us. Because in Africa, a person that walks around in a township has the same issue as a small and medium enterprise as a fixed income market capital allocator in Africa. So we're very excited about the opportunity. We think this opportunity is greater than anywhere else on the planet today. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a second. Here you see the adoption. The adoption rates are extraordinary. Money Badger announced the other day, 650,000 merchants lit up to accept Bitcoin. You can buy Bitcoin, you can buy fuel, you can buy soda pop, you can buy chappies, which is bubble gum, you can buy floss, you can buy shampoo in a deep township with Bitcoin across Africa. It's quite extraordinary. I love those kids up there, by the way. They're being taught Bitcoin, and on the coloring books, one says we are all Satoshi except for Craig Wright. I love that top left one. Right, we're seeing that. So you see emancipation. You see young people. right? In Kenya, the uprising in Kenya, and Tunisia, and Tanzania the other day. You're seeing kids rising up, and you can see their ages are early 20s, and they're Bitcoiners. And they're overthrowing governments. M-Pesa, right? Bitcoin, M-Pesa, that interlock has happened now in East Africa. Machankura, I don't know how many of you have seen this, but Machankura is an application that allows you to buy and send across SMS or MMS. So we don't need the internet. So when people say the governments will take over the internet, it's okay, we'll do Bitcoin via SMS. Smartphones, little feature phones, not expensive phones. It's quite extraordinary when you go to Africa and you find an old lady and she's selling nails and corrugated iron and shampoo and soap, and the only thing that she'll accept is sats. She doesn't want your US dollars. She doesn't want your euros. She wants sats. Why? Because it's money that's hard. And when you give people hard money, then people become resilient. Then people build confidence. Then people have hope. The reason we are immigrating from Africa, going across the Mediterranean to get to your European countries is not because we don't have talent. It's because we don't have hope. Because the money is broken. That's what's happening. But thank God for Bitcoin, right? Let's keep going. This is a European tourist that went to one of the Kenyan villages, an English guy. He landed there and he wanted to pay in pounds, he wanted to pay in dollars, and they said, no, we don't accept that money here, we only accept Satoshis. He didn't know what Bitcoin was. He got orange pilled, and at the end, when they got done with him, he was dancing with everyone and he was given a Bitcoin book. I think it was the Bitcoin Standard. So a guy from London goes to Kenya's rural villages and leaves with the Bitcoin Standard as a book. That's what's happening. Our people have woken up, and that's an extraordinary thing. And what we're seeing is a couple of things. So, forgetfulness to culture. We're seeing from surviving to doing what we love, from immigrating to staying local. So ignore the text on the screen. One of the things I did was I spoke to some of the circular economy people that we have in South Africa. I spoke to some of them and said, what does Bitcoin mean for you? And you know what's quite extraordinary? Is we will see for the first time a black individual competing on the global surfing stage because of Bitcoin. The kid was paid in sats, he gets paid in sats, and he can finally compete with the Australian kid that has Aussie dollars, or the USA kid that has United States dollars. He could never compete having South African rand. And for the last 4 or 5 years, he's been stacking sats, and there's 3 of them, and they're coming along. And I think in the next 12 to 14 to 16 months, you will see the first black professional surfer. And when you look at his surfboard, you'll see a big B on there. And when you speak to him, he'll tell you it's the reason he could become a professional surfer is because of Bitcoin. Bitcoin and the growth of Bitcoin allows him to pay for his tickets at all the events globally when he competes. He could never have done that with any other fiat currency. He can finally do it with Bitcoin. We have circular economies in South Africa where people only accept Bitcoin, 400,000 people. And you know what the net effect of that is? You know what happens when people only accept Bitcoin? The first thing we notice, the amount of trash that emerges out of that township drops dramatically. The amount of dirt that comes out of the township drops dramatically. And the reason for it, no waste. You know why? People don't use their money to buy Temu and Shein shit, or crap. What they buy is they buy things of quality because their money is hard. When you have hard money, you only depart with hard money for qualitative services. So what happens is we see the merchants, the service providers in those townships, the quality of the service that they have to provide has to dramatically increase in quality. Because the people that have to depart with sats are only going to do that when that thing is of a certain quality. What we also see happening, gangsterism and crime collapses in those communities. And the big thing is, those communities have hope. It's quite extraordinary to see some of those people being put on Bitcoin stages, on the smaller Bitcoin events in South Africa, and they get up on stage, they've never gone to school, and they're willing to do a keynote. Because they've got confidence. They've got hope, because they've got hard money.